Welcome to the Business Renovator. I'm your host, Coach Phil. My contact information is right above here if you have a question, idea, or a challenge you're facing in your business, or if you know somebody who's having a challenge, send us a message. Let us know, see if we can do something to help them out. Stay with me. This is going to be a fun impromptu Business Renovator today, sponsored by And as I like to start every episode with my buddy's book, Customer Delight, I'll just pop it up here real quick. In Brian's book today, a really short quote by somebody who was a historian way back when, Winston Churchill, who I'm referring to. Difficulties mastered are opportunities won. Difficulties mastered are opportunities won. My buddy Brian says, after working with technology for more than 20 years, he's come to a conclusion. Technology will fail. Well, is that ever? What's the fact? I've worked in customer service for almost as long, and I've determined that difficulties will happen. Now, Brian also goes on to say he recommends that you have a plan for difficulties. Delight in your difficulties. They are opportunities in disguise. I saw a post today by the Napoleon Hill Foundation, and they were talking about the same sort of thing. Opportunity is kind of a trickster. It shows up as a problem or a negative aspect, and it's really how we choose to respond to it that is the most important thing. Why I'm excited about today is I'm going to bring this little piece up. Whoops, I'm on the wrong side of that now. So this session is about observable communications. And really what that is if you've heard of DISC, it's 4 different flavors or styles of people's communication. And about half a dozen, or probably even longer than that, almost a decade ago probably, I hired a coach that I worked with for a number of months. And one of the things he introduced to me was this graphic here. He talked about recognizing that when we want to build rapport and trust with people, we can do it by observing how they communicate, which will give us clues on how we should communicate with them if we want to build rapport quickly and build trust right away. And there's 2 things. If you drive a car, you've seen something like this. It's a speedometer and a temperature gauge. They have a few other gauges, and we could get into a deeper dive with that. But just for today, we're going to talk about the 4 areas of DISC and why they're an important aspect of observable communications. The speed is how fast do they talk? Do they talk really fast? Or are they more slow, thoughtful, methodical? That'll give you a clue on how you might want to communicate with them. So indirect or direct. That's the pace at which they communicate at. And then are they open or are they guarded and reserved? The more open they are, the easier it will be to talk to them if you're open. If you're guarded when they're open, there's a disconnect there. You won't dovetail with them. So this simple little graph, chart, image, whatever you want to call it, gives us clues as to how to communicate with people. Now you can do a deeper dive, and I can help you with that if that's something you want to explore at some point in time. If it is, reach out to my website and or my email and send me a note. Say, hey, I'd like to find out more, and I'm happy to help you out with that. Can provide you with an assessment that you can see where you're at in terms of how open and or guarded you are, and what temperature, or probably that is the temperature, and what pace you like to communicate at, which is your indirect, slower, to direct, faster. that is my quick plug on observable communications. What I found was, I think when I really first got started and was studying this seriously, I had an opportunity to work with a former Olympic athlete, Canadian ski athlete, downhill skiing actually. And I went to his office and he opened up the door and let me in. And at the time he had his cell phone on his ear and he was talking away a mile a minute. And he called me into his house, closed the door, carried on with this conversation for, I don't know, it seemed like 10 minutes, but maybe it was only 5. And then I started talking once he was done with the phone call and talking about pleasantries and the weather and a few other general type of topics. And his patience was very short. He indicated to me that he only had 10 minutes. And why was I here? So I picked up the pace, stopped talking about things like weather and sports teams and whatnot, and got right to the reason why I was there. Because he had said, if you got 10 minutes to tell me why you're here, then I've got to go. Well, what ended up happening is because I recognized what was going on, I was talking too slow, open enough, but too slow. And so I changed the pace. And when I changed the pace, we got into an alignment, got into a dovetail kind of approach. And an hour and a half later, I left with some action steps for the two of us to do before we had the next meeting. If I hadn't have shifted, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to learn more about him, share more of what the opportunity was I had for him, for his consideration. I would have been gone in 10 minutes. So the power of that little graph, that chart here, I'm going to bring it back up again. This one here is amazing. It's really simple to learn how to do this. And it's an ongoing event where you're always learning and adding to your skill set. We go through 4 stages of learning anyway. What the stage of I don't know what I don't know, to I get through the other 2 stages, which is consciously incompetent to consciously competent to unconsciously competent, which is where we are habitually. And practicing this on a regular basis by paying attention to the pace and the openness, as well as 3 other key areas: the words people use, the tone that they have, and the body language. Those 3 things combined with pace and temperature will help you unbelievably. Well, actually, it's very believable. So will help you in your building rapport and trust quickly with those people you want to communicate with, lead, etc. One of my instructors, Dr. Rogerson, said that if a DISC assessment is done within an organization, it can save up to 2 years of getting to know who your employees are, who your teammates are. Just imagine what the impact would be in your community, in your organization, or in your company if you could shave off the time it takes to get to know the people you have on your team and how to communicate with them. If you're interested in finding out more about that, by all means, reach out to me. The information's right up above my head. If you liked what this is about, let us know, comment. If you're watching this on the replay, hashtag replay would be great to have that. And if you like what this is about, please share it out with those that you care about into your community. Appreciate you. Stay wonderful. Spell wonderful with a U, large U, not an O, because you are wonderful.